Hi, I'm Jane Garapick. I received this email from a beautiful woman who was reaching out to me for help, figuring out if she should continue to see where her relationship is going or if she's just wasting her time. Here's what she wrote. Hi, Jane. I met this guy on a dating site a few months ago. We've talked every day since the day we met. He's told me things like he's only pictured spending his life with one other woman other than me, which at the time he said this, I felt was too soon to know that. And he talks about the future with me. He had to go back to his temporary home in another state shortly after we met, but visits his home state where I live every 3 to 4 months. I've asked him if he's seeing anyone else, and he said no, he's only interested in me. But what I don't understand is he says he doesn't want to be in an actual relationship. He says I'm too emotional and I have to work on that. He also says we have things to work on before we can be official. I've brought it up several times because it does bother me that he doesn't want this. I plan to wait until he returns to have this talk again and avoid emotional outbursts until then. Am I overreacting? Could it be that he's being honest, since even though he's threatened to, he hasn't broken off communication and often acts as if nothing is wrong after I apologize for my outbursts? And my final question is, could he be stringing me along? I suppose I should add I've had 2 relationships that have lasted a while and ended on good terms, while he's only had one that didn't last half as long. He said he wants his next relationship to be as perfect as possible and that he wants this with me, but I have to change my overly emotional ways. Should I continue to see where this goes, or am I wasting my time? Thanks in advance, and she signed it, Cassidy. Here's what I told her. I'm going to give this guy some credit for at least being honest with you, Cassidy. But I'm hearing him loud and clear with huge warning signs for you on the wants his next relationship to be as perfect as possible and that you're too emotional. See, this Cassidy, this is clearly a guy who wants, needs is more accurate here, his relationships to be perfect and free of anything that sets off his emotional barometer. I don't know him and I don't know you, but I'm assuming he's here with you waiting to see how things go, based on the fact that you've learned well how to be perfect and how to hold back your emotions as much as possible for you. I'm also assuming that you find yourself questioning if your emotions might sometimes be too much, and if your strides towards perfection might not be quite enough. And I'm guessing then that after you apologize for your outbursts, or as I'm reading this, after you restore the equilibrium in your relationship back to a level where he's comfortable, you're in the running again for something real, but only as long as you're perfect, and only as long as you keep your emotions in check. He's keeping track, he's grading you almost, holding you to a standard that you're never going to be able to live up to. And not because there's anything wrong with you, but because there's something wrong with being measured, rated, on your ability to hold your own emotions in check and keep everything in check, when ironically, the very reason that someone like this is with you is because you have the one thing he doesn't, the ability to feel. Cassidy, I have to say, I always have strong feelings on the majority of relationship scenarios I'm presented with, but your letter here has brought out some of the strongest reactions I have had, because I consider it a major red flag if a man ever tells you that you're too much of anything, but especially emotional. You're not perfect, and you're not supposed to be. You're real, and so is he, and so is any relationship that you want to be in. Relationships are messy. They're full of our baggage, our programming, and everything we bring to it, not the least of which is our personalities, our blind spots, and our feelings. Yes, our feelings. I can tell you that if I was personally in your shoes with a man who wanted me in the relationship to meet a standard that included the word perfect anywhere in the vocabulary, I would run as fast as I could in the opposite direction. I've been there. I've played out that role far too many times to know where that road leads. Could it be different for you than what it's been for me and so many others who believed it could be different for them too? Well, of course it could. He's his own person, and so are you. But if you do proceed, I would do so with the full awareness that this is someone who you are never going to be able to be yourself with, who you're going to have to be constantly checking yourself with to make sure you're meeting his criteria on just how perfect and how emotionless you need to be. See, there's something beautiful about being in touch with your feelings and emotions enough to express them, Cassidy. And there's something absolutely exquisite about not being perfect or having to pretend that you are. Think long and hard about whether you ever want to be with someone who could make you feel like you're too much or not enough in any way, shape, or form. Those of us who've walked this path know just how much havoc a guy with a background like this that causes him to require these conditions can wreak on our hearts and souls, regardless of how well-intentioned that we may have been. I don't ever want to see that happen to you or anyone. So now I'm going to turn it over to you. Have you ever been made to feel like you're too much of anything? Tell us about it in the comments below, and then don't forget to like and subscribe and pass this video along to a friend who needs to hear this too. I'll see you in the next one.